Ancient technology. Pyramids are tombs. So, we're gonna have to premise this. All right. So, I don't believe the Great Pyramid, Khufu's pyramid, is a tomb. The other ones, they could be tombs. I don't care. The Great Pyramid specifically to me is not a tomb, but that's for a different video. So I just wanted to point that out. Not that I believe all pyramids are not tombs. It's just the Great Pyramid is the main one I don't believe is a tomb. All the other ones definitely can be. So we're gonna go with the idea that they are tombs. I always like mention this little story because it seems, I was a kid. As a kid, I thought the pyramids was like a let's see, there you go, was like a castle, right? Was the pharaoh's house, just like how a castle is a king's house, right? And the White House is the president's house, and so on, so right. So you would think that the pharaoh would have a palace, right? Would have a place to live, and I thought pyramids was their house where they ruled, was from there. So something like this is cute, where somebody, shows that there's a deck, there's an entrance, there's a garage area for the chariot, you know, there's bedrooms, there's a sauna, there's master bedrooms, there's a laundry. So I thought this was cute. It's like, air shafts, of course, so that you can breathe while you're inside the pyramid, and it has an antenna on top. So I thought that was cute. Every time I see that image, it's like, man, that's how the inside of the pyramid should look like. But instead, the Great Pyramid, for example, looks a lot more like this, right? King's chambers, queen's chamber, and then the subterranean chamber, and then sloping, deeply sloping passageways. So you'll be slipping and sliding down to the or you'll be trying to crawl at a 45-degree angle up into the king's chamber, right? So not really much good for like a treehouse. But this is like kind of like a cross section, so of what it would look like. So that's the Great Pyramid. But let's just go back to it actually being a tomb. What the hell? Oops. It actually being a tomb, right? So Great Pyramids is a tomb. So I'm going from that stance that they are tombs. So if they're tombs, then obviously they're to put dead people in there, right? Specifically pharaohs. Now, why are we doing that? Why are we building these big giant structures for that? And why do the structures have to be so solid, like a literal mountain of stone? Y'all could have made it very hollow, right? Y'all could have made a big box-like structure with a whole bunch of rooms and stuff, right? Ooh, I'm gonna do that one day. Like design a tomb and how the pyramid should be like. Because the outside being a pyramid shape is fine for aesthetic purposes, but structurally inside, it would be easier to just like build basically a temple, like build like a temple type thing, right? Or 3-floor building, and the pharaoh could be on the third, on the third floor and whatnot, and then you will, will just build the pyramid over it, so it'd be kind of like it's like a pyramid shaped wall, right? Barrier protecting the tomb, which would be more of a box shaped structure, which would be easier to build and install. Plus, it would just make building pyramids or tombs, right? The tombs, because pyramids are tombs. It would be make it easier building tombs if that's how y'all did it, where y'all just like stacked a whole bunch of like pre-made tombs, right? Giant stone structure boxes, stone rooms, basically, and you can move it around, stack it, and be like, all right, we stack these, we carve here, making a door here, and this and that, boom, 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 right? It'll just make it easier. So, in other words, prefabricated pyramid making capabilities, right? They were smart enough to do that, so why not, right? Why not do that? So it could have been prefabricated, like boom, boom, stack, 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 like Legos, all these chambers to create, the tomb, and then build over it the pyramid shape, and that's how I would do it. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going with the whole. If it is a tomb, that's how I would build a tomb. So that's why when I see a lot of these things of especially the Great Pyramid. It's like, yeah, that doesn't look like a tomb, but that's not really the best way to build it. And even sorry, even if and it's like the security there, quote unquote security system, is not so great, because if I was to build it, to be a tomb, an actual tomb, I would design it where I build it in such a way where there's openings, right, to a chamber, right, in the construction. That way, when it's time to put the pharaoh in there, you just put the pharaoh in there, right? You just put the pharaoh in there, and then when you leave, you'll pull some levers and stuff like that, which will just release the blocks, and it'll fall into place and seal it up. Now you might say, oh, they have these blocks, big slabs of granite, like about four of them or something, and they act like security doors. But that's the thing, they act like security doors instead of a big giant uh, uh, 30-foot thick wall. The idea is like a puzzle piece. If you ever think, if you know about Yu-Gi-Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh has the little pyramid. Yugi from the Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon, right, anime. He has the puzzle piece, the Millennium Puzzle, which looks like an upside down pyramid, but right, and he put the pieces together. So that's how I'm thinking. So the idea is you're gonna have a whole bunch of blocks that are elevated, right, to create a gap. But once you pull out of it and release those blocks, they'll fall right into place, and then boom, now you completely solidified and created a whole solid structure around the pyramid. So once you put the pharaoh in there and close it, well, it's permanently closed. There is no, passageway to get there. So it's weird to create, you know, but anyway, that's for the other video, right? Of why this is not the best design for a tomb. So we're going with the fact that it's a tomb, right? It's a tomb, and we put dead people in there, and why. So here's my theory. Sorry for the long rant, but here's my theory for why mummification. I always was curious about why they bury people the way they bury, why they take out their organs, and it makes sense when you know now, the body decays and whatnot. So it would be a good idea to take the organs out and dry out the body and all that stuff. But not only do they take out the organs, they don't. It's not like they reuse it. Good thing they don't eat the organs, right? But they put them in jars and save them in the tomb. So they make sure that the organs are with the dead body. So kind of make sure you have everything, right? Your body, your organs. Now they damage your brain, like they destroy your brain and pull your brain out through your nose, apparently, right? For those who know about mummification, and they wrap you up in linen, if I'm right. And they do a lot of stuff. So the thing is, they're trying to preserve you. It's like they're trying to preserve the body. Got it? That's what the mummification is, to preserve. Your organs are in jars to, again, preserve. There's even food preserve. They even mummify your chicken and fruits and vegetables and honey and all that stuff, and even beer. So they do a lot of stuff for you to have in your tomb. They say it's for the afterlife and this and after, but a lot of people like to think the afterlife would mean, you die and you go into like heaven or something like that, right? The afterlife, the spiritual realm. But what if, here's the theory part, what if the whole mummification, the whole tomb thing is really a time capsule, right? It's the idea of you're trying to preserve the pharaoh or whoever you're putting in the pyramid, right? The tomb. You're trying to preserve them, and any materialistic things they have, you're trying to preserve it as a time capsule for the future. This is why they have a whole bunch of games and toys and clothing and even food. It's like, logically, it's just I don't believe the whole, like, they believe that your food and whatnot will all manifest in the afterlife, among many other factors, right? And the idea that you'll live in the pyramid, your soul, right? And it's like, nah, don't you want to travel the universe, right? You don't want to be trapped in the pyramid. Your body could be there, but your soul should roam free, right? A whole bunch of stuff. But let's get away from the spiritual part and just go straight to the scientific aspect. What usefulness does a tomb have, especially in the desert, right? A tomb have mummification, material, the material possessions, even food of the person, right? Their favorite food and stuff like that in the tomb. What will be the purpose for all that? You can say spiritualists and religious reasons, but in reality, if we go with the cryo chamber time capsule concept, it's like, no, they plan for the afterlife. Essentially, is just another way of saying the future. After you're dead, we'll preserve you, and then in the future, people will find you. If they, because they expect that maybe the pyramids will over time erode and break down, and eventually slowly reveal the tomb, and in the near future, the humans of civilization will get smarter than they already were when they created the pyramids, right? And be more advanced. So by being more advanced and understanding the human body, human biology is so much better that they could potentially reanimate the dead body. And same thing for the food and this, that, there, where they could take the DNA samples of the chicken and whatever, even the be able to analyze the beer, and be able to figure out the recipes, and we're like, all right, we have the ingredients, we can make the beer. So we can make the beer, we can we know the DNA sequence of the chicken, and we could probably breed chicken, specific chicken, so that way, and then clone, right, and reanimate the pharaoh and be like, here, here's chicken and beer, your favorite, which is chicken and beer. The same type of chicken you ate in ancient times and the same beer you drank in ancient times. We redid it, we remade it. So that's one way of going about it. That's my theory on the, tombs thing. If we're going to say they're tombs, that the purpose for mummification and tombs, especially for the pharaohs and stuff like that, is essentially a time capsule. It's for the future, for them to be, because you can't send everybody, right? You can't send the whole entire Egyptian civilization, into the future. You have to create so many pyramids, right? We have to create these pyramids to have so many chambers to try to store everybody. I mean, think about the fact that the Great Pyramid itself has 3 chambers. Has the King's Chamber, right? Has the Queen's Chamber, and then has the subterranean chamber. Right? So King's Chamber, right? Queen's Chamber, and then subterranean chamber. There's 3 chambers. Then there's the hollow areas, right? So ironically, there's space in this structure to put 5 or more bodies in it. But supposedly this was for one person. But you could potentially put 5 bodies in here. Right, one at the entrance down here. There's a void there. We already saw that this year, and then above the Grand Gallery, there's another void between the 2 air shafts. So there's essentially another chamber. There's more space there. Ironically, above the King's chambers, there's the relieving chambers. Right, there's space there. You can stuff a whole bunch of, sarcophagus and that stuff. So it looks kind of like storage, like 4 layers of storage. So you have 4 chambers there. So I said 5 plus 4, that 9. You can put like 9 things in there. 9 plus. 9 plus. You can fill this up with 9 plus people, with the intention of them being reanimated or, cloned in the future, right? Reanimated, resurrected, whatever you want to call it. So it's just an interesting thing that I noticed. Is like, if we're going with the whole tomb thing, is more interesting that it being a tomb means that it has a scientific purpose. Again, it goes back to science. Most people want to argue, no, it's a tomb, it's for religious reasons, it's because of their belief system, blah blah blah. It's like, or since I see they have a lot of science, and it definitely takes science and intellect to build pyramids in the first place, and we're going to say the Egyptians built it, right? Then their belief system is more science based than it is spiritual base. So this idea of like, no, they, you know, I see it scientifically. Scientifically, the tombs are meant to be time capsules, essentially cryo chambers, for the purpose of um, them coming back. Also, if you look in their religious belief, right, about Osiris, I think it's Osiris, and he was chopped up into like what 13 pieces or something like that, and Isis brought him back together, right? Put him back together is like that to me is the concept of somebody dies and you bring them back. So to me, their belief system is we can resurrect, we can come back, right? You can bring a human back to life, right? So that's the way I see it. So it's like more likely their their whole tomb thing is for the purpose of preserving their pharaohs or whoever they want to preserve, for the purpose of being able to resurrect them and bring them back. Especially, I believe that more likely, the better of a pharaoh you were, the more likely they want to give you the ability to come back, to give you a second life. That's why the whole afterlife thing is okay. You did a great job while you were alive as a pharaoh. You're dead. We'll put you here. We'll preserve you, and hopefully in the future, we can bring you back. You are a great pharaoh in this lifetime. When you get resurrected, right, clone or brought back or whatever happens, you could be a great pharaoh again, right? Especially if they look at it as being a pharaoh is more of servitude to the people instead of the other way around. So the people don't serve the pharaoh serves the people. So when you die, they preserve you in the tomb for the purpose that in the future you'll get, like I said, resurrected, regenerated, clone, whatever, and then now you have a second life to just live your life, do whatever you want, not serve nobody. Because when you were a pharaoh, your life was about servitude, was serving the people. But now, your second life, or your afterlife, after your pharaoh life, now you have a regular life and just do whatever you want, right? Live your life. So it's kind of like a reward for your service, right? Thank you for your service being the pharaoh, serving us, the people. We're gonna preserve you for the future, and hopefully you'll get a second life, literally a second chance at life, and go do what you want to do as a reward. That seems interesting. I mean, to me it is. That sounds cool. That sounds, beautiful and whatnot. To each their own. I just think that's a cool idea. That the whole tomb thing is, if these pyramids are tomb, it's really just so that way the pharaohs can have a second life through science, not other means, science, right? Because science and magic and religion and all that stuff is all one and the same. Especially, I believe Egyptians saw it the same way. They saw that science, religion, spirituality, all one and the same. They're not one versus the other. It's not science versus religion. They're both the same. They're just different ways of viewing the same thing. You're looking at the same thing but differently. I look at the pyramids. I don't see religion, right? I don't see a spiritual thing. I see a scientific thing. I see technology. I see intelligence. I see humans doing amazing things, figuring things out, solving things, right? So, so that's the viewpoint I see it from. So, pyramids are tombs. They're cryo chambers. They're time capsules essentially. Because think about the fact we're digging in the pyramids, right? We're digging around. We're digging in the King's Valley of the Kings, and we're just interested in what's going on in the past. And a lot of this stuff is letting us know what's going on in the past, because essentially all this stuff is a time capsule, because it was all preserved. It all lasted long enough, 4, 5, 6, 7,000, 10,000, 100,000 years, whatever, how long these things have been out there, long enough for us to be able to see it and enjoy it now in the year 2024. And that's the end of the video.